If you've got to make a box of Maltesers, you just have to get one right and then repeat it, don't you? You get a box of Maltesers then. Whereas if you're making something like a box of liqueur chocolates, each one's different. And that's what the fractal system gives you the benefit of, rather than having identical products that are going through an identical production line. You say, no, I'm going to have identical units, identical cells, which can do anything.
Yeah.
So all the rules and systems of each cell is exactly the same.
So let's explore that a minute from a wider perspective, looking at companies and councils and larger organisations which tend to expand like a balloon. Yeah. And as they expand, the accounts department gets more people in it, and the sales department gets more people in, and the accounts department, the quality department gets more people, and people's jobs get smaller and smaller. So the accounts department goes from accounts receivable and more specialised. Yeah. So it pays to be a specialist within this model, which is great. So the balloon expands. And then
specialists get paid more, and they've got more job security.
It's fantastic.
They're the only one who
it's
knows
brilliant.
About it.
It looks brilliant.
So and they're more important because I'm a specialist. So yeah,
fantastic. So on the way up, it looks absolutely terrific. Now let's reverse that on the way down.
Like in a recession. Or something.
Like in a recession, yeah. And he goes down. You say, right now, John, you did accounts receivable, and we need you now to do accounts payable, but I'm going to have to lose Tom, your mate. Oh no, I'm not doing that work, mate.
Don't know anything about that.
No.
Can't do it.
No, I can't do that. And anyway, he's my big mate.
Yeah.
I have lunch with him, and we meet up. Meet up.
Very hard to reverse that process.
Right.
So do you sack both of them and get one person who can do both jobs, or do you get rid of one of them, or do you get rid of the cheapest one?
Yeah, last in, first out.
Well, what's the rules? I don't know.
You pick a rule, don't you?
You do,
and then you force that person to have to do the other person's job, which they've forgotten how to do.
So this
really difficult process.
So there's assuming that they used to do it.
So there's growth through expansion, but there's another way of doing it, and that's growing through replication. So go back to Maltesers. Julian makes 10 boxes of Maltesers a day and makes them profitably because he can sell them for £2, whatever. So he said, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll not do the expansion bit. We'll do the replication bit. So Chris is going to do exactly the same as Julian.
And also make 10 a day.
And make 10 a day. And then we can get him up and running, and he makes a profit. So now I've got twice the profit I was used to make.
But hold on, Matt.
And if we have to go back,
we know the profit now.
But actually, Chris has got that special certificate from Cambridge.
Ooh, he's very special.
He might be able to do 12 a day.
Oh, yes.
But if I find a way to do 12...
That gets you that.
That's certificate. But Cambridge,
but
definitely.
That's
great. If it was Glasgow College of Technology, I'm not sure.
Cambridge.
Yeah. Well, lucky.
But that's fine, because if I can do 10 or 15 because of whatever,
special certificate,
you can then copy what I'm doing and you can do 15.
Yeah.
So that's great, isn't it?
It is.
But also, in a way, it doesn't matter if you're doing 10 and I'm doing 15, because, we've got 25 and, that's great. And if we're being paid by our results, I'll get paid a bit more than you, but that's fine. So I don't think it really matters if there are differences. I mean, it's great.
Now, there is a problem when we come down to the Malteser making machine now, because, obviously we don't want a massive one. Yeah, because there's one for you.
Well, the convention will be to buy a new machine that makes 20 boxes a day. But then you can't reduce back down in hard times.
Brilliant. So you've now got a machine that produces... Well, no, we're planning for the future. We're planning not for 20 boxes a day. We're going for 5,000 boxes a day machine. Yeah. We're thinking about a grand salesman plan.
Yeah, the salesman said he can sell them
to all the schools. And the salesman says he could sell to everybody Maltesers.
Yeah, school lunches, Malteser
fantastic. Lunch. And so that's what we buy, this machine, and it needs a whole lot of specialists to operate it, and it's phenomenal, and it spews out stuff at a rate of knots, and it costs
very cheap per Malteser.
Oh yeah, well, you might think that's the case, but of course it needs a whole lot of specialists to run it. It's got a whole lot of breakdown problems. Yeah. If it breaks down,
programmers,
if it breaks down, there's no output at all in Maltesers.
Yeah.
Whereas the little machine that Julian was operating, and then the one that Chris was, if he breaks down, you do.
But also your
growth selling.
Because what you probably would do is buy a machine that does 20, and then you'd have to buy a machine that does 30, and then you'd have to buy a machine that does 40. So each time you grow, you'd have to throw away your old machine.
Yes.
And then when demand goes down a bit, you'd think, oh, the machine's not being fully utilised anymore. and whereas if you've got these cells, it's so much easier, isn't it? Because you just add another cell.
Or get rid of a cell.
Yes, or they can make something different.
Yeah. Or they can do something different,
And so you're just far more resilient.
And flexible.
Yeah.
So on the way up and on the way down. So this expansion model...
Even if it's costing you slightly more to have a smaller machine, if indeed it does, it's a much more resilient system than buying that big super duper machine.
It is.